What's up everyone, Dave the Data Dude. Today we're going to be talking about an introduction to shift. We're going to be looking how we can move our data up and down, left and right, and how we're going to fill values that are null due to the shift. So let's go ahead and jump into our data and take a look at our shift function. So we're going to import Pandas as PD, we're going to import our Pokemon CSV, and we're going to look at the first 5 rows just to make sure everything looks okay. And it does. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to type in df name shift and look at some of the options we have available to us. We have period, frequency, access, and fill value. Not a lot in this particular function, and we're not going to talk about frequency. Frequency is when you're dealing with things like data frames, data time, or timetables, and things like that. So we're not going to talk about this for this particular data frame, but we are going to talk about the rest. So we're going to look at what shift does. So we're saying that if we type in shift 1, that it is going to shift the name column down 1. So now you can see that the 1 index is Bulbasaur, the 2 index is Ivysaur, and so forth and so on. So you could have a shift name column, and you can see that you got Bulbasaur because it shifted down 1, Ivysaur shifted down 1, Venusaur, and so forth and so on. Okay, so that's essentially what the shift does. It just moves everything down however much you tell it to move down. Now let's say we had said 2. Obviously it's going to move down 2. If you want to shift up, you just put a negative 1. Oops, excuse me. Negative 1. So you have Ivysaur moved up 1, Venusaur moved up 1, so forth and so on. Okay, so just moved up 1. And if you wanted to shift the whole thing, you can just remove the column and just say df.shift. Right, and we need to get rid of that column. We're not going to create a column because we're shifting the entire data frame. So you can see here that it created a new row, and it's just been shifted down 1. Okay, so we're going to go back to our name one though. So we're going to go back to shift name equals df name dot shift 1. Okay, so we're going to keep it like that, so that it comes back like this. Okay. So what we're going to look at next is we're going to look at what we can do with the nulls. So we see that we have a fill value. We can just simply say here, I want the fill values to equal a blank. Instead of it being not a number, we're going to make it just a blank space, a blank string right here. So you can see here it made it just blank. Okay. And the last thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the axis. It's self-explanatory, just like it was with the original shift. You need to take out the column because we're going to be working with the entire data frame at this point. So we're going to say df.shift 1. Fine. So you can see, we need to say axis equals 1. Excuse me. So you can see that it shifted everything 1 to the right. And you can do the opposite with, I guess you can't do the opposite with negative. That's why. Because it's not -1 for the axis, it's -1 for the periods, right? Because we want to reference the period, not the axis. So it shifts it to the left, and we just have shift name equals null here because remember we originally created a shift name column. So everything just got shifted back to the left. So that's a powerful thing that you can use in your data frame, and we're going to talk about a bonus of how you can use this to manipulate your data in another way. Let's say that you had a data frame that might have a list of prices or inventory or something along those lines having to do with date. You can use a chain function with group by to only shift based on a specific set. So let's say we're going to take the df and we're going to let's actually reset our data. So we're going to reset our data so that it's back to our no shift name or anything like that. And we're going to say we're going to make a column called I don't know, previous. We'll do shift type shift, I guess. Okay, and we're going to say df.group by type 1. We're going to take a grouping of the type 1 and we're going to use the total column and we're going to shift it by 1. Okay, so what is that going to give us? it is going to shift only within the grass types, and it's going to shift it down one. Now, let's take a look at only our shift-like data, or our grass data, so we can see on a smaller scale what that would look like. Okay, so you can see here we got a shift, and we're going to sort it by this so that we can see, because it should be shifting it based on the ascending down like that. So sort values. And then we're going to do, oh, it's already sorted like that, so we're just going to say head. And we're going to make it, we got 70 rows here. So what we can do to make it easier to see is we can just do a multi-argument location. So we're going to do this, and we're going to say, no, we'll just leave it like this time. So you can see here, though, that it shifted down 318 to 405. But here's where the true magic comes in. So you see here that 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would make sense that these guys would shift down, right? So 318 went to here, 405 went to here, 525 went to here. But see here, this one is 43. Okay, so this would not be the next in the list, but it's another grass type Pokemon. But it received the 625. Okay. So if you had a smaller scale of data, you would be able to see, I don't think we have it set where it would be able to see more than this. Yeah, I didn't think so. So this is the power that you can use with the shift. It's grouped it by the type, and then it shifted the total based on that grouping. So similarly, if we looked at fire, we would probably be able to see something very similar where 36, and 6, there's a difference. This went to here, right? And 59 is 555 with the 555, right? So that is one way that you can use the shift when you have a data frame and you want to shift specific things. Perhaps you have a department where a price change occurs. You want to know the maximum and min dates. You can just say, buy this product, I want to know when the price change occurred, and just shift it by 1 based on that product or date or however you want to do it. But this is how you would use a shift to only be on a specific group of data. So like and subscribe. Let us know if you have any questions or if there's anything that you would like to see in the comments so that we can make sure that we can keep bringing you quality content that you enjoy. Thank you very much.